See this on my desk? It looks like a simple pencil holder, just an old yogurt container. But to me, it's a reminder of a pretty incredible day. It all started when I was working at my computer. I glanced out the window and saw a rustling at the edge of the woods. A skunk, his black and white coat blending with the dappled sunlight. He seemed busy, maybe burrowing? Honestly, my entire knowledge of skunks was limited to one thing, their famous, dreaded smell. Then things got weird. The skunk stumbled out from the trees and zigzagged across my lawn. He had his fluffy tail, his striped back, and a bizarre yellow helmet where his head should be. As he got closer, I realized the helmet was a plastic yogurt container, just like this one. He was completely blind. He'd bump into a rock, whirl around frantically, and then smack right into our picnic table. He just stood there for a second, shaking his head, trying desperately to get it off. But it was wedged on tight. Trapped and terrified, he charged blindly back into the woods. I just stared, completely stunned. How long had he been running around in total darkness? I thought it would only take me a second to pull that thing off. But the thought of chasing a skunk through the woods, that kept me glued to my chair. How would I even catch him? And what would happen after? Wouldn't he spray me? I tried to get back to work. I had a deadline that afternoon. But I couldn't focus. All I could picture was that poor animal, running until he collapsed from pure exhaustion. Surely this has happened before, right? Maybe an expert would know what to do. I found the number for the local SPCA and dialed. "Sorry, we only handle domestic animals," the woman said. "You need to call the Department of Wildlife." She gave me a number. By now the skunk was probably long gone. Maybe someone else would find him, someone braver, faster than me. I hesitated, then dialed the Wildlife Department. A man listened patiently to my story. I could hear him talking to someone in the background. Then he came back on the line. "Here's the thing," he said. "If a skunk can't see you, they don't spray." Well, that sounded promising, since the skunk's head was stuck inside a yogurt container. "But what happens after the carton comes off?" I asked, my heart pounding. "You need to make sure," he advised, "that he doesn't feel threatened." "Right. How exactly do you reassure a terrified skunk?" He suggested, throwing a blanket over him and then running for it while the skunk tries to get out from under it. "That might work," I said, but I clearly sounded doubtful. He must have picked up on my hesitation because he asked where I was and started looking up local conservation officers. But how long would that take? Where would the skunk be by then? Suddenly, this strange, overwhelming sense of urgency hit me. I had to do something, right now. I thanked the man, hung up the phone, and just ran outside. I didn't even stop to change out of my good pants. I completely forgot the whole blanket idea and just sprinted up the driveway to the road. Of course, he wasn't there. I wasn't even sure why I was running in this direction. When I last saw him, he was heading the opposite way, down the hill into the woods. But my feet just kept going. I turned left and dashed down the street like I was late for the most important meeting of my life. I'd run maybe 100 yards when it happened. A black and white streak shot out from the bushes right beside the road and ran straight towards me. The yellow carton was still on his head, bumping against the pavement with every panicked step. Before I could even process the shock of finding him, I just stooped down and grabbed the yogurt container. The little guy was surprisingly strong. He was tugging and twisting, trying to get away. His claws were scrabbling against the plastic, his whole body straining backward, but he couldn't break free. It took both of my hands, pulling with all my might, to hold on. And then, suddenly, pop! His little black head was free. And there we were, face to face, just 2 feet apart. I have no idea what he saw or how scary I looked to him, but what I saw was a sharp, quivering nose, 2 little round ears, and these bright, alert black eyes staring right into mine. For a full 10 seconds, we just held each other's gaze. It felt like an eternity. Then, just as quickly, he turned, ran a few yards, and vanished into a culvert under the road. I just stood there, watching him go. The whole thing, from hanging up the phone to that final moment, couldn't have been more than 3 minutes. But in that short time, it felt like a whole story had played out. As I walked back home, I picked up the yogurt container he left behind. I realized the skunk represented all those things in life that seem scary or difficult. the things we hesitate to face. I had been afraid, I had hesitated, I had tried to pass the responsibility to someone else. But in the end, driven by a simple gut feeling, I ran towards the problem instead of away from it. And in doing so, I didn't just help a creature in need. I learned something powerful about myself. That sometimes, the most rewarding thing you can do is to face your fear and just act. That's why I keep this old yogurt container on my desk. It's a constant reminder that compassion is a choice, and courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about acting in spite of it. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have a similar experience, I'd love to read about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.